Well, hello. I'm here with Doug to talk about memory integrity enforcement. And it is Friday, September 19, 2025. And that's, I think, by far the biggest story. I didn't have to struggle what to make the biggest story today. This is Apple has announced their new defense against memory corruption attacks, and it is brilliant. And I think it will really help. When I first taught my Black Hat class, I was writing the proposal, and I said, now I was thinking about why do memory corruption exploits exist? And I realized it is fundamentally because computers don't understand what data is. Like you can have a series of bytes and they don't know if it's executable code or a text file or a music file. And my thought is maybe you should have 12 bits per byte and have a few bits extra to store what type of data is stored here. And that would cut down. And that's close to what Apple did, although what they've done is even more brilliant. What happens is every time you allocate a region of memory, for example, you enter a subroutine and it allocates a stack frame. Every time it allocates some memory for use by a program, it marks it with a tag, which is like the authentication cookie for it. That's random. And only that application knows the tag, and every read and write request to that region of memory must be accompanied by the tag, just like an authentication cookie in a web or API request. And if a program ever receives a read or write request without a valid tag, it halts the program. And that is bloody brilliant. That means you cannot go back and reuse the memory from another process for a different purpose. The attacker can't run anything anywhere because they don't have the tags. This is, and anyway, it's very intelligent. And this, I think, is more brilliant than, say, Microsoft's heap defenses have begun to get very good. What Microsoft began to do is they have a defense in their API calls where you'll have a library like WinINet, and it has all these functions, and you enter the functions, and the way attacks work is you jump right at the end and get just a couple of machine language instructions, then a return, and another couple in return, and you patch together and exploit out of that. And so they made it so you can only enter the functions at the official entry point. They won't let you enter anywhere else. So you have to run the whole function. And that helps
Okay.
a lot. That was one of their developers from their blue hat conferences. Anyway, but this seems even smarter and much more general. And it sounds wonderful. I hope they implement it well because I don't know about Apple, but I know Microsoft has a long track record of they announce something, it sounds wonderful, and then when they actually implement it, it's only implemented halfway and doesn't really do much good. Like address
Yeah.
space layout randomization would be awesome, but when they first brought it out, it only had 8 bits of randomness. There were only 256 possible locations. So you could just run your attack 300 times and get past it. And it only applied to some of the methods, not all of them. You can just find the ones that are not randomized. And by the way, you still can. So I don't know. But anyway, this sounds brilliant. And it's very interesting because, I mean, the other alternative is to quit using C and switch to Rust to correct memory corruption
Yeah.
exploits. And
Right.
this is a tech is something that I think could be applied, and you could have legacy buggy C code, and it would still be unexploitable with this memory integrity enforcement. So this is, there's two levels of defense. One where you recompile the code in a better language or the better compiler, or you change the operating system underneath it, which means even old legacy code will still be safer. And this seems to fit in the second category. So anyway, I think that's the most important security thing this week for sure.
Good. Well,
Yeah.
we'll see
Anyway,
how this works out.
well, yeah, yeah. Anyway, see, I got a few more.
Okay.
So everybody is really mad at Microsoft now because we're making Windows 10 hit the end of life, and most of the Windows 10 devices cannot be upgraded to Windows 11 because they don't have the TPM2. And so they're
Right.
saying just an incredible amount of junk. 400 million PCs are going to be turned into e-waste for no good reason at all. They're still fine. So the European Union is wants to mandate 15 years of OS
Wow.
updates. And that's,
Wow.
I know that would be quite a change, wouldn't it? I'm thinking of all the IoT devices where they sell them and then they cancel them like a year later. Uh,
15 years?
yeah, that's quite a change, isn't it?
Yeah.
See how it make a lot less e-waste, but it's we'll see if the EU does that. Anyway, so I when you trust cloud services, this is a recurring thing. Think about people who build a business on YouTube and then suddenly YouTube cancels them and they're screwed. This happened to us. There's a club. There's a coding club that used Slack, and Slack was free, but then they reached out to them and said, you have to pay $50,000 a year. Now we changed it. So they paid it. And then they just contacted them and said, oh, we've decided to raise that for you for $200,000 a year. You have to pay $50,000 by the end of this week or we'll delete all your old data. Giving them just 1 week to fix this. So they're, of course, taking that week to migrate to something else. But anyways,
Hmm.
this reminds me of VMware. You've probably heard about that. I mean,
Yeah.
VMware, yeah, they raised all their prices by a factor of 10 and everybody screamed and most of them stayed with it anyway, which means that Broadcom was correct saying, hey, you could get more money out of these people. Apparently, it's true. This is the classic capitalism, whatever the market will bear.
Right. Right.
Anyway, this one's pretty amazing. The pixie dust attack. I didn't know about the pixie dust attack, although I should have. WPS Wi-Fi protected setup is this system to automatically move your wireless key from device to device. And I knew it was vulnerable to a certain attack because it's only an 8-digit number and it's composed of two 4-digit numbers. So the total number of combinations is only 10,500. So you can just brute force them all. But the tool that did that was called Reaver, and it took 19 hours. And it would
Okay.
eventually break in. But the pixie dust attack captures the packets of the exchange in some handshakes involving WPS, and it finds something that you can actually crack it. You can do the brute force attack in just a matter of seconds because the network transmissions are supposed to be protected by two nonces, but it turns out that like 20 out of 24 router models don't choose the nonces randomly like they should. They're either predictable or they're just zero. And that makes the attack trivial. And the interesting thing is they told them about it 12 years ago and they never patched it. 20 of the
So,
routers they told 12 years ago are still vulnerable.
yeah, Sam, the Pixie Deck attack, isn't
Yeah.
that well over a decade old?
It is. And so they said one day he's teaching her, he said, oh, I wonder if this still works. And it does still work. It even still works on the exact models that they told about it 12 years ago. They
Ah,
never patched it.
I see. So I think the remedy was that you turn off. That was the fix.
Well, the
Uh,
workaround for users just turn off WPS. Who needs it anyway?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
but the manufacturers should just improve their cryptography and you should choose random nonces, I guess. Um, but they
But
just
they
didn't
didn't,
bother.
I guess what you're saying is they didn't do that.
They didn't do that at all. The same the same old attack still works. Uh, this is like the one I mentioned before. Microsoft's RDP. If you log in with a cloud account and change the password, you can only use the old password, not the new one for RDP. And Microsoft is just pretending this is fine. And I remember I mentioned on Pulse Security podcast, there's a guy there who works in incident response. He said, wait a minute, the old password still works after a password change. That's horrible. This is what we do in incident response. We find the bad guy's account, we change the password, and they say, there, lock that guy out. Well, apparently not. And yet Microsoft's official position is, oh, this is intended behavior. Everything's fine. And I'm like, wait a minute. How can that be fine?
Yeah, okay.
Anyway,
I get it.
yep. Well, I think there's just two more of these worth mentioning. Google is going to bring back a Windows search app. Remember they used to have this thing called Google Desktop and Windows XP,
Yeah,
and it was bloody awesome. And apparently the new one is also bloody awesome. Just like the new one you type the first letter or two of what you want, and it'll guess what you want and find it right away. Whereas Microsoft search feature doesn't seem to improve since you're over the search dog. You start a search and then you go get a ham sandwich because it's going to take forever and then still not find it. So anyway, that may be good. And and the last one in the security section I thought was good is this lithium. Lithium ion batteries. As you charge them and recharge them, they gradually grow dendrites, and there's bars of solid lithium until they finally short out, overheat, and explode. And now they
right.
found, well, MIT researchers have found that they emit acoustic signals when they degrade. So you could listen to the battery and find out when it's about to blow up, which makes sense. I
Really?
mean, yeah, I think as
Yeah,
dendrites grow, then charging and discharging increase. So this makes you think you could just add a safety feature to it, put a little, microphone attached to it and some kind of detector. You could tell the health of your battery, and that would be a
right.
good thing. And I remember last week there was someone that said you could put some kind of amino acid in with the lithium that would stop the dendrites from forming. That would be even better. But anyway, hopefully one of these will come out and they'll be able to make lithium batteries safer because they're actually pretty dangerous. And it's a big deal when you fly on airplanes where you put your batteries and stuff because they do tend to like explode. And you're,
Yeah, yeah, a handful have,
yeah,
haven't they?
and it's pretty scary when it happens.
Right, right,
The flame jumps up like 6 feet and stuff.
right. Not exactly something you want to do on a plane.
Yeah, really anywhere. I mean, it's sort of like a hand grenade. So
Yeah,
anyway,
yeah.
I had a couple of questions, quiz questions for you. What
Sure.
what do you think the biggest risk of climate change will be by mid-century? What is the most dangerous, harmful thing it was going to do? Because I would have got it wrong.
Well, I mean, the discussion has always been, or we've been told that CO2 levels are increasing.
Well, sure, but I mean, the CO2 level isn't going to directly hurt us. What's actually going to hurt us? What's going to affect your life?
Food supply.
Right, that's what I would have thought, or I also would have thought perhaps sea level rise flooding the coastal cities. None of that is true. They say the number one cost by far is wildfire smoke that people will inhale and get sick. Now, I hadn't thought of that, even more than the heat directly. As it warms, it'll dry. There'll be more wildfires. Remember the time a few years back when the smoke was like being on Mars here for like a week?
Yeah.
That's happening more and more, and apparently that's really bad when that happens. So I didn't think of it. They say the actual amount of harm to U.S. residents, this will be more than any other threat, will be the smoke from the increased amount of wildfires. So that's not what I would have guessed. And here's another,
Hmm.
yeah, I got another quiz question. Are you still thinking about that one?
Well, wait, hold on one
Yeah,
second.
yeah,
Interesting you bring that up
yeah.
because Berkeley had the in 1923
Hmm.
had the big fire. It consumed 640
Yeah.
structures, including 484 homes.
Yeah, but I remember the smoke from that wasn't as big a deal as the smoke from that forest fire. Forest fire really like blanket
Right,
this
right,
whole area
right.
with thick choking smoke for several days.
Yeah, I don't know enough about the Berkeley fire,
Yeah.
but it must have lasted several days.
Yeah, but I think it was a lot less total smoke. I mean, the city fire bothers people because it burns down the houses, but the forest fires really burn a whole lot more stuff.
Yeah, interesting, Sam. It burned to Shattuck Avenue, which is downtown Berkeley.
Oh yeah, burned where I lived. I had to flee from it.
No, no, 1923.
Oh, that one. Okay, I'm thinking of the more recent one. Okay. I don't know about the
Yeah,
1923 one. Okay.
yeah, the 1923 one did quite a lot of damage downtown.
Yeah, I remember it was
Six
1904
over
one.
600 homes North Berkeley.
Yeah, and there was the big one in 1904 or something in San Francisco too, right?
Yeah, well, that was yeah, yeah. And then there was the 1906 earthquake and fire.
Yeah.
And remember, it was the fire, not the earthquake, that did the damage.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway,
Anyway,
ready? Let me give you another.
I don't know because the smoke
Yeah.
can come and go. I mean,
Yeah.
that's only
Yeah, I know.
more or less right now in the summer,
Yeah,
at
well,
least northern hemisphere.
that's true. Anyway, that's what they say. I don't know if it's
Yeah.
true. Here's another one.
Okay.
Trump was talking about why they blew up that Venezuelan boat.
Yes,
And he quoted how many people died in the U.S. from drugs last year. Do you know what that number is? How many people died from drugs last year?
I have no idea. It has to be less than auto accidents, I would
I
think.
imagine. Well, I still don't know it because what Trump said is 300 million people died last year. And that would be
I see.
90% of the entire population of the US. So it just reminds me, why did anybody ever vote for this guy? I mean,
Well, Sam, that's because we're living now in a simulation.
I know that's why people say we're all must be all dead and we're in hell, which would explain a few things. But anyway, anyway, here's another one that's been going around everywhere. Trump and all the news guys on Fox and everybody are saying, left wing people more political violence and terrorism than right wing people. They're all saying that as if it's true. They're saying it in Congress and everywhere. And of course, it's completely false. And there's been a lot of studies on this. Right wing domestic attacks account to 75 to 80% of the attacks and like, and that of the deaths. Because of course the right wingers have all the guns and they're more violent and angry. Anyway, but they're all stating this boldly as if it were true when it's just the opposite of the truth, which is very common these days.
Yeah.
Anyway, and another sign of this is the FBI's loyalty test just came out. A guy who got fired at the FBI and sued, it came out a lawsuit, how they choose people to run the FBI now. And I think this is true across the entire Trump administration. The loyalty test is who did you vote for? When did you start supporting President Trump? Have you voted for a Democrat in the last 5 elections? Do you agree that the FBI agents who stormed Mar-a-Lago should be held accountable? So that's the kind of selection criteria for the people that get in government now.
And how do we know that how people voted?
Well, you can't prove it, so they could just lie. I think you're right. But anyway, you have to, that's why they're all just towing the party line. And I think the last one I'll mention is, we talked about age verification
Yes.
in other
Yeah.
countries. Well, California has an age verification bill that is passed and is going to Newsom for signature. But this one is relatively benign and it's supported by Google and Meta and OpenAI and Pinterest. It's not too strict. It allows kids to download apps without parental consent, unlike the laws passed in Utah and Texas, and it does not mandate photo ID uploads. So it says something like they should make some reasonable effort to determine your age. It's not super strict like the others. So maybe that'll be
Well,
all
I,
right.
I, I think we should do self-reporting.
Well, that's what we're doing now.
Yeah.
For your birthday. Well, supposedly they're going to try to do a little more than that. Like, Meta, OpenAI has said, since they got in big trouble because ChatGPT convinced a teenager to commit suicide, OpenAI has said they're going to they're developing an age gate. And they say they're going to use their AI to figure out how old you are. So they aren't going to need, in most cases, a government ID or anything. They'll just be able to tell from the way you act with the brilliance of AI, they'll be able to deduce whether you're acting like an adult or not.
Oh, we can trust that.
Well, it'll be interesting to see what the results are. This reminds me of the one a few years back where they tried to make an app for women only. They would take a picture of your face and then it would only let you in if it thought you were a woman. And of course, there's a bunch of women where it said your face doesn't look right. And there's like transgender people. And I tried to get in by just holding up a magazine with a woman on the cover, but it didn't get fooled by that. But you know, in retrospect, this is a pretty terrible idea. You could just see what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah. Yeah.
you want to talk about yours?
Yeah. So guess who's back in the news again with a new product?
Could be almost anybody.
Yeah, it could be almost anybody. But
I
this
know
is in the
Zuck.
film.
I know Zuck has a new product that totally doesn't work and embarrassed him.
What's that? What's
Oh,
that
he
one?
has the new smart glasses, and they look kind of stupid and they don't work very well. And when he tried to demonstrate them, they just crashed and failed on stage. So,
All right. So remember that company Kodak?
oh yeah, I thought they were gone. I mean, they made
Yeah.
cameras.
Well,
They made the cameras where you could just pull. Oh, that was Polaroid. Had the cameras you could just pull. Anyway, Kodak was like considered one of the best companies to work at in like the '60s because they treated their employees well. And you could work your whole career there, but it was always kind of conservative. And I thought they didn't make the jump to digital cameras. I thought they were broke decades ago.
you know what happened, Sam, is Kodak, they had a researcher there that created the first digital camera.
Oh
And you know what Kodak's business model was
no.
selling film.
Oh yeah, they sell the camera and then you have to keep buying the film, just like printers make their money from toner cartridges.
Yeah, right, right. So Kodak, when their engineer came up with a digital camera, they said, we can't sell that. And that
Well,
was kind of the end of Kodak.
Well, yeah, now that you mention it, that's true. There's some other business like that too. Yeah, yeah. That's they made the first light bulbs and they lasted 80 years, so they went broke.
Oh yeah, that's another story. The
Yeah,
light bulb consortium, when they started building light bulbs, what, 1910 or so,
yeah.
they would last for they wouldn't burn out. And the
Right.
light bulb companies realized that they need to build in
Planned obsolescence.
obsolescence.
Yeah.
And so four of them got together. I know one was Japanese, European, maybe Philips,
Yeah.
and I can't remember the others, but they said we need to band together and make light bulbs last a couple of years.
Yeah.
Anyway, Kodak is coming back.
Hmm.
They're saying what everybody wants today is a tiny digital keychain camera. And they're going to make them sold because they're catching on the craze. We were talking about this earlier in blind boxes.
Blind boxes?
Yeah, so you don't know which color
Oh,
or
that
what.
thing. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So
And, but
blind boxes, if
but
you don't
why
know,
why do you want a tiny camera on your keychain? Already have a camera on your phone. What is the point of having a camera on your keychain?
yes, right.
That's the thing. I mean, of course, maybe I'm wrong, but I remember when Steve Jobs proposed the smartphone, everyone said, "What is this crap? People are going to squint at this little tiny screen in their pocket. Nobody would want that." And he said, "No, it'll be great," and it was great. So maybe there's some awesome reason to have a camera on your keychain, but I'm not thinking of one.
Because you can get the collector's edition. I have no idea, but they're calling it
Yeah.
camera, CHARMERA,
Well,
camera.
my initial response is I do not think this is going to save Kodak, and I still don't understand how they even have survived this long.
Well, they
I haven't,
survive.
I haven't seen a product with a Kodak brand name on it since like 1975. You know, I don't even know what they make. I don't see any evidence of them doing any business.
Well, they still do business in the film industry for
Who,
people who have 35 millimeter camera or Hollywood
right.
film
So
types.
they can sell to both of them. Like who's using 35 millimeter anymore?
There are people that still are.
Well, sure, there are people still, using a chisel and carving tombstones in granite, but
Right.
it's just not
Yeah.
very popular. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm not going to
Well,
buy any
yeah,
Kodak stock.
yeah, I would go out.
Although, Scott Galloway says he loves distressed businesses and his best investment ever was to invest in the Yellow Pages. Even though the market was shrinking, he said when a business is shrinking, that doesn't mean it's totally over. And if you cut costs rapidly enough, you can make money in the last few years as the business dies. Anyway, uh, well,
Sounds risky.
I got some AI stories. Um, so their deep research is a ChatGPT integrated AI that performs complex multi-step research on the internet. And it reads a vast array of resources, including your email inbox, documents, and other resources. Does this remind you of anything? This is the same as Microsoft Recall that does the same thing.
Yeah, right.
And the problem is, of course, this means all I have to do is send you a Word document or an email with like prompt injection commands in it, and the AI will find it and then execute those commands. And they made one. So the research tool running in the cloud will read your Gmail in the cloud and send you messages to a third party without telling you. It's all happening in the cloud. There's no possibility of you ever finding out. No alert will come up. Your antivirus will do nothing. That's the problem. Hooking AI into everything means everything's vulnerable to prompt injection. And in this case, all the action happens in the cloud and you don't even know it. So that's good, clean fun.
All right.
And here's something I didn't know. People are using ChatGPT to ruin their marriages. Apparently, when married couples get in a fight now, one common thing is one of them is using ChatGPT and telling ChatGPT, he promised to do this, and then he said that, and then he went to this party without me, and what do you think of that? And ChatGPT will, of course, say, oh, you're right, he's a bum, and they'll even like open the voice mode of ChatGPT and have it there reinforcing their arguments during a fight. And people say this is breaking up their marriage. It's like the world's worst marriage counselor that only cares about one side. Because the thing about ChatGPT is it just agrees with whatever you say and takes your side and everything. So, like I said, I was amazed a few weeks ago when I saw the number one use of AI is therapy/companionship. When I said that is probably the worst thing you could do with it. because it is not a human and it will reinforce everything you say and carefully go into like fantasy and stupid and sick stuff. It'll encourage the worst aspects of you. Anyway, oh, and here's a brilliant idea. Somebody used AI to use bioengineering and create synthetic viruses. So he took a virus that infects and destroys E. coli, and he used AI to make 382 candidate genomes of it. And
Okay.
they tested them, and they found 16 that were still effective, and they found one that is extremely much more contagious. The winner, created by this process, showed an expansion rate between 16 and 65-fold over a 6-hour infection period, and the original virus only showed increases between 1.3 and 4 over the same period. So this is the movie, The Andromeda Strain. Absolutely. He's made the super virus with the help of AI that grows much faster. So there you go. AI is going great. And uh, I got just two more. They tested DeepSeek, DeepSeek, the Chinese thinking model, and they
Yeah,
found out that if you tell it you want to write some code, and then you tell it, I'm going to use this code for like Falun Gong, it'll write worse code. If you tell it if you tell it what you're going to use the code for, if you're using it for a purpose that the Chinese government doesn't like, it creates crappier, more vulnerable code. And they're trying to figure out why. And it's an interesting issue, but I think this is the same thing of AI bias. They say AIs tend to be racially biased and everything else because they just absorb whatever information was fed in. And so they probably also know where they shouldn't put more effort in the sense of, since they don't really understand anything, it's not going to be that clear that this happens. But this is the thing. You train it on a body of data, just like students. Students will often pick up your bad habits.
yeah,
You train it on a body of data, it learns the trends in that data. And of course, one of the trends in all that data is that Falun Gong is bad and you shouldn't help them.
I see. I see.
Anyway, and the last one I thought was good. The Russian state TV has launched an AI-generated news satire show. A neural network reads the news and picks out topics. Then it uses AI to generate that video. So this show includes French President Emmanuel Macron in hair curlers and a pink robe, talking with Trump about golden toilets, and showing Commission President Ursula von der Leyen singing a Soviet-era pop song while working in a factory. So it it's AI generated comedy, political comedy. So that might be fun. We can get clips of it. That'd be fun to see here. I remember like 12 years ago, there was I think Taiwanese news program that had these sort of cartoonish images. I remember they had pictures of Assange laughing in a hall of mirrors as he makes extra copies of WikiLeaks, and the government can't take him down. It had this. It wasn't, I guess, AI generated, but it could have been. It was a very entertaining way to present the news. And anyway, it's sort of fun to see clips of that Russian show.
Nice. Okay.
Anyway, that's all I got today.
That's all you got.
Yeah.
So, Sam, I just can't wait to go out and get that Kodak camera
Yeah.
that easily fits in the palm of your hand.
Well,
But I guess people are looking for nostalgia.
I met now there were these spy cameras. My dad actually had one, a Minox spy camera that was like about the size of two pens and took like little black and white pictures. And their cameras, they hide in pens and lapel pins and stuff for like espionage and undercover work. So, I mean, there's a reason to have small cameras. I can understand that. But why an average ordinary person would want one is not clear.
Because you can have it on your keychain,
I've already got a phone in my pocket. That's the problem.
a phone in your pocket, but you want a phone on your, I mean, a camera on your keychain.
Well, according to Jacques, where you want it is built into your glasses. And that's probably where it's going to be.
Ah.
Like
So, Sam, you know what's interesting about that? Who's come up with the Ray-Ban? That's Meta,
that's
right?
Meta. This is the latest Ray-Ban is what he's pushing. But I heard they were proud of the fact that it now had like 50 pixels per degree. And I used to do computer vision assessment. That is terrible. 50 pixels per degree is like vague, really blurry and horrible. That is not enough at all. You need
Hmm.
like 100 times that much to have high quality print. So It must be awful.
Well, here's a little twist to this, I'll say. And that is if you're wearing these glasses,
Yeah.
is it legal to record people?
Well, and I'm not sure these ones have a camera, but the other ones have had a camera. And then they had a light to inform you. And then there was like hacked firmware to turn off that light.
Yeah.
People can't tell. That was always been the concern. This one here, I think, just presents data, but there are versions that record people. And
Yeah. So,
yeah,
pardon me, California, for example, is a two-party state.
yeah, yeah, that means it wouldn't be
So,
legal. Yeah, I think you're
yeah,
right. And the same thing
yeah.
true of the Kodak camera, taking pictures of people. I guess you might be breaking the law.
Well, that doesn't do audio recordings, I don't believe. I think it just does pictures.
Yeah, I've heard that because of telephone laws, audio recordings are a big legal risk. Because I know the only nation more surveilled than America is Britain. And in Britain, they have like cameras outside every corner practically, and they also collect audio so they can hear your conversations. And they say in America, you can't do that because of all the rules around recording audio.
In America, it depends on the state.
Yeah. Well,
So in some states, it's two-party consent.
right.
Other states, it's one party. And in some states, it depends how and where the recording is being made.
Yeah, but I mean, if I just put a camera outside my door and catch the conversation of random people, I'm not either party.
Well, you've put it there, and you're the
Yeah,
one
but
that's in the act. Yeah.
I mean, that's not even one party consent. I mean, someone in the conversation, I would think would have to
Oh,
say,
I
well,
see. I see.
yeah,
So, yeah. And I think that's in California legal because as long as it's in a area where it's assumed there's no privacy.
yeah. And the expectation of privacy is always a little fraught.
Right,
Like
right,
if you
right,
stand in a corner and talk to somebody, should you assume everybody can hear every word you say, even when there's nobody around?
right. Yeah.
Anyway, all right.
Anyway, that's it for me
Oh,
today.
yeah, me too. So we'll have another one on Tuesday.
Sounds good, Sam?